Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good day. I thought that this go around I would try to share a little bit of the original vision that I had for this channel when I started it a few years ago. I was watching a lot of YouTubers, and there was a part of me that thought it seemed like a nice idea, and I kind of like to start a channel. But I was too I knew I was too shy to do something like that. But as I watched how calm and collected some of these people were, and how they could just carry on about any subject, I must admit, it appealed to me, and I thought, wow, someday I would love to be able to do something like that. But for years, I never thought that I would give it a try. Till one day I had a bad experience at a doctor's office, and it made me so mad. I told my father, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to get a camera, and I want to share it, because I'm sure there's others who've been through experiences like this, and they need to know that they're not alone. And my parents said, okay. My father said, okay, and he helped me get a camera. But of course, in the intervening weeks between that, I'm so mad about what happened at this doctor's appointment today, and this is not the first time I've had such a bad experience, and I'm sure there's others, and and I want to share. I got cold feet. I grabbed, when I finally had a chance to be alone when they went out, and I plugged the camera into my computer, and I started to record. I sounded like this. You could barely hear me say a word. The audio of the camera couldn't pick me up. It was such a whisper. It was so soft, because now the mad was gone, and my nerves were shot, and I was shaking like a leaf. So I went out, said, okay, this is not going to work. I need decided to put it off. Said, I need a microphone. So my father, finally, we got a chance. We went to the store, we got a microphone, and they went out, and I tried again, because there was no way I was trying to do this when anybody was around. The house, like now, had to be perfectly empty. I wasn't going to try. So I plugged in the microphone, plugged in the camera, and it still sounded like this. It went a little bit better with the microphone, but I started, and I was like, nope, the anger was gone. And I realized that without that, this is so bad, I've got to share it, and I've got to tell and help other people, that's it, not going to work. So finally I said, okay, I don't have the nerve to get in front of the camera. That's not going to work. I know what I'll do. I'm going to start filming my garden, and we were trying to move to the country at the time, and my parents had bought 3 acres, and we were going out there to visit the land, and my father would do some things, and mother would do some things. I thought, hey, I know what I'll do. I'll have my father, he's much more courageous than I am. I can get him to record. I can stand there with my camera, or sit there with my camera, and I can record him, and he'll be calm in front of the camera. It's not a big issue to him. After all, I filmed him playing with Happy and asking questions, asking Happy about, do you know who had which TV show had the big red fire truck, Emergency or Hogan's Heroes, and he didn't have any nerves when it came to that. So I'll make a channel, and I'll star him, and we were watching shows like Lumna and Big Family Homestead, and Weed 'em and Reap, and Hollis and Nancy, and I thought, hey, how about I start a channel with gardening and what it's like to try to start a homestead when my father at the time was 72 and diabetic, and I have chronic health issues, and I thought, hey, I'll start a channel with a homestead where the theme was, what it's like to try to start a homestead when you're sick and living with chronic health issues and old, and I'm sure that would be an encouragement to some. And oh, I had such a dream that my father would be out there in the garden filming, and he would put on the GoPro and film himself working in the garden and on our 3 acres, and then he would give the footage to me, and I would edit it, and maybe I would create a script for him to follow, and he could give it his nice deep voice. He could speak it out, or maybe someday, if I ever got the courage, I could do the speaking part and narrate that, but I would never have to worry about being in front of the camera, and maybe it would never take off like those big channels, but hey, even if I got a small following and earned a little bit of ad revenue, and maybe was able to make and sell a few t-shirts, I could help my family and pay for some of the plants that went in the garden, and buy chickens for our garden, and oh, I had such a dream. Like I said in another video, I had always dreamed that I would do something big and make the money to give my father a car, take my mother to the restaurant, pay for a big kitchen for her, buy my sister a brand new computer and a 3D printer, get them. My mother and sister love art, and I'd get an art studio for them that they could paint, and a workshop with a bunch of tools for my father. And oh, I was dreaming so much of the garden we would have, and how wonderful it would be when we ate fresh fruit from our garden, and shared that with others to see that, hey, look, he's a diabetic, and he's out there working in the garden, and look at how it's helping improve his health. And oh, it was so nice, until one day on the visit to the garden, our visits to our 3 acres, there was a old thin tree that my father tried to knock down, tried to push down, because some of them were so scrawny that I could knock some of them down, but with a slight push. And he went to push it down, and he didn't realize that there was a bit of a lean to the ground, and unfortunately he fell onto the ground. And as you can imagine, at 72 years old, 300 and some pounds, with diabetes, that's not a good mix. And he broke a couple of ribs, and he couldn't get up. Fortunately, there was a person coming who was gonna give us an estimate for clearing that land, because we realized there was no way we could do it ourselves. And that person arrived a few minutes later and helped him up and helped him to the car. And those 2 ribs hurt him for quite a while, and he couldn't lay down in bed. He couldn't comfortably get up into the bed. It was too hard. So he sat in a chair for weeks trying to rest. But as you know, it's not good to keep your legs down on the ground. You got to elevate them once in a while. But for those few weeks, he was sitting in a chair, so his legs didn't get much elevation, and that did not help his legs, and they started to swell to 2, 3, 4 times their size. And between the pain of his ribs, legs that would hold 10, 15 pounds of fluid, he couldn't move around very much anymore. And so for 2 years, his health started going down. And unfortunately, besides having diabetes, he had a bad liver. And unfortunately, from that fall, we kind of look back to that fall, and we say that was really the time that it kind of sealed his fate. And I still, for the longest time, even though eventually we tried to find a way to get on that land, and we couldn't. And we decided to sell that land and try to find a way to get a house with a piece of land. I still dreamed, and I would dream, and I was fighting, doing all I could to look for a house in the country to try to find some way to get him his dream of having the country home before, so that he could get the fresh fruits and eat healthy. But he started having infections in his teeth, and tooth had to be pulled here, a couple teeth had to be pulled there, so it became harder and harder for him to properly eat. And he was still very strong. He was driving every once in a while, 80 miles one way to take my sister to the foot doctor and come back. And so even though his health was falling apart, he still seemed pretty strong. As a matter of fact, the day before I heard that awful scream, he made that 80-mile trip one way and 80-mile trips back. I really, really thought that I was going to get the dream, and I was full of images of my father working in that garden with a camera in one angle and a camcorder angle here, and I was going to learn how to make some of those fancy cuts. And yeah, unfortunately, dreams don't always work out the way you had, but that was going to be my channel, my upside down world. I was thinking, well, maybe I'll change it to my upside down homestead instead of my upside down life, but well, anyhow, maybe I can make a little bit of that dream come to pass. I don't know, but what this channel will become right now, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm amazed for how long I was able to talk in this ramble, but still gonna take a lot of practice to get calm. And if you're still listening, I appreciate it, and I hope this inspires you to not wait until the last minute to make your dream and your vision, if it's a good one and worthy of praise and worthy of honor and virtuous, that to make it come to life. Because there are only so many tomorrows, and we never know what will happen today, 5 minutes from now, never mind tomorrow. And as I said before, tomorrow can bring a horrible surprise. Tomorrow can bring a blessing, and tomorrow can bring sadness. So be careful, have a great day, blessed day, and start working on making tomorrow the day of your dreams. The tomorrow of your dreams, I should say. Have a great day.